Yes, the word of the day is portable air conditioning. Well, so that's several words. Words of the day are portable air conditioning, and only if you have to air condition one room of the house. Otherwise, who's in trouble? So I'm afraid, yes, it won't be any good for you.
I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to next weekend. Give you 29.
Yeah, you say looking forward to. I use different words.
Well, it's not 37, which is
well,
fine.
okay, yeah, it's going to be measurably cooler than it was.
Yeah.
Good point. Might be coming around from heat-induced torpor by that point, but
I may have to stay around at friends' houses on Wednesday and Thursday, just so I can actually sleep.
When's the last time the UK broke 30 degrees Celsius?
Earlier this year. May.
Was that it?
Yeah.
How much?
And then
what was it, 32?
32, 33. Last year, I think we had two. What was it? 2 heat waves, but they only lasted for a couple of days. This one's lasting for 4. Usually they only last a couple of days and then they kind of drop off.
Now we get it for a week.
Yeah.
So, in case you hadn't already guessed, folks, we're griping about the weather, as we are wont to do.
I feel like the heat over here is really different to anywhere else.
Well,
it's similar.
Gone over
it's the
this.
humidity, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know,
Malaysia's the same.
Camp Island.
Yes, Malaysia's the same.
It's really wet and hot. It's sticky.
I do wonder how all the Scottish fans are dealing with Miami right now.
They're probably drinking bear dry as well.
Yeah.
I saw the bosses last night. It was funny.
That's the Scots for you.
It is.
The only people that probably all drink was the Irish.
Haven't the Scots and the English drank Boston dry?
No,
I believe it was just the
contributed
Scots.
to the Scots. Yep, they only contributed to the Scots right now. They added all the cones on the statues.
Yeah. Well, it's a time-honoured tradition. It has to be done. I say it has to be. Everything seems like a good idea when you're several pints in. Okay, anyway.
Yep.
Before we get drawn too far down this tangent, let me just confirm that folks can access their character sheets. They see everything they expect to see. Everything's working according to how they expect it to, and those who want to hear Silenscape can.
Yep.
Spiffing. Headset died somehow. Oh, it's back and it's gone
Okay,
again. Okay.
It just keeps saying goodbye and then back again, goodbye, back again. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Wow, it's an ongoing saga with you right now, isn't it?
I know.
Will she, won't she? Can you hear us? Yes, you can. No, you can't. Stop playing with my emotions, headset. Okay, before we get too far, we're going to get into the somewhat now outdated intro video, and we'll be back in a couple of moments, folks. We'll see you in a minute. Hello, hello, folks, and welcome along to the continuing adventures of the USS Combs. I am MJ the GM, and I will be your games master for the next couple of hours. And with me are the Combs crew, as I take you over to see them rather than my silly face.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hello, viewers.
So, yes, I don't think we need to get into anything particular, unless anybody had anything they wanted to contribute before we get started.
Is this a brand new episode?
More or less,
Nope.
yes, I will get to that.
I thought it was a
Okay.
continuation.
It is. It's like a two-parter. The story is
Okay.
a two-parter over the course of 2 episodes, so it is and it isn't.
I'm going to ask, are we allowed to do science projects? Or, because it's a two-parter, we're not?
Now, the problem with doing the science project is that the distance of time between when the last episode ended and this episode starts is a matter of seconds.
Okie
So, the
No.
answer to that is sadly a no.
Okay.
But, and that's also the reason why I didn't give out a claim, because technically it's still part of the same mission. So, there you have it. Unless, of course, folks do have, because I believe somebody earned a milestone, an arc recently, didn't they?
Yeah, I have not had a look.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. We can get it all done in one spot if we want to.
I was going to say, I can wait until this second part is over, and then I got myself a couple of sessions or whatnot to have a look, see what I want.
Yes, so for those who don't know, an arc is essentially the biggest form of character improvement you can get, made by linking your actions in a scene to a value that saw a similar action in a previous episode, which was itself fed by another episode. So if you can chain 3 episodes together, and your actions in 3 episodes as a result of your value, then you can earn yourself an arc, rather than a milestone or an adjustment. Adjustment is the lowest, a milestone is the middle, and an arc is the big one, linking 3 episodes. However, after that it becomes a bit more. If you want to be able to do it again using the same value by the same thing, then it becomes, you have to link 4 and then 5 and so on. So it becomes an ongoing thing. Harder and harder to essentially spam the same thing.
That sounds like it'd be easier, because if I've already linked it 3 times, I'm just linking it to the last one. That's a chain of 4.
But you have to start the chain all over again.
Ah, okay.
So rather than another week going past and say, I'm going to do it again because this makes 4. So, no. Start again. Start the count again. You've gotten 3, you've linked 3, you've made your arc. Cool. Take the count back down to 0. We start again. Otherwise,
and to hack everybody.
You just end up hacking everybody and getting arc upon arc upon arc, and that's just... no. However, before we get too far into that, I am going to once again plug Chris's channel, The Utter Crisp, right here.
Hello, thank you. Yeah, nothing too much new at the moment. Still kind of on a hiatus, but yeah, some retro reviews there if you fancy some, some nostalgic goodness. More at some point, but not for the foreseeable.
It's there if you want it, and heavens knows we want it. So, there we are. Alright then, cool. Now, I need somebody, because in all Star Trek episodes, both past and not quite so past, because there currently aren't any Star Trek episodes going on TV at the moment, usually the previously was done by a member of the cast. So, who's going to volunteer for previously on Star Trek Combs?
I can do it.
Yeah, I was hoping it'd be Iggy. You got the presenter voice. So before I present my summary, Chris?
Hello.
Do it.
Where is it?
Sorry, just say it. Just you don't have to read anything. Just say previously on Star Trek Codes.
Previously in Star Trek Adventures.
Thank you. So, this crew has seen a lot of weird and wonderful stuff in and across the Shackleton Expanse, but the prime unifier behind all of them has been the ruins and remnants of a mysterious long-gone race, which you have come to understand is called the Tilikaal. They disappeared, and they have left remnants of their civilization all over the place, and it has sometimes been on planets where there's nothing there, or planets where there are actually people who have either grown up oblivious to the fact that they had such technology from an ancient civilization lying in or near them, or they knew about them and maybe based their entire civilization on those findings. This crew has found all sorts of traces. But recently they have identified that there is indeed a race called the Tilikaal, and they have somehow separated themselves from their physical bodies and their, I suppose you could call them their astral bodies or their spirit bodies, whatever frame of reference you want to use for it, have been stuck in some kind of alternate dimension, and they are trying to get free. It was a different crew, not the Combs crew, who managed to go into that strange dimension and found a number of the Tilikaal who apparently are trying to get out of this prison. They were put there by apparently not quite right members of their own race and imprisoned there, and have been trying to get out since. Now, one of the discoveries made by this crew and by other members of the Shackleton Expanse exploration teams was a planet called the Candidate 3 planet, imaginatively called that because it was in the Candidate 3 system. And what was on the third planet of the Candidate 3 system was more Tilikaal ruins, but overseen by a strange alien that called itself Assessor Tredik. Apparently the Assessor was placed as a kind of custodian there to watch over not only the technology of the Tilikaal, but also the physical bodies of the Tilikaal interred in vaults inside of that planet. Now, unfortunately, that planet has since been lost when, by a weird confluence of events, not only did the Romulans try and invade the Candidate 3 system in order to take the technology on the Candidate 3 planet for themselves, but at the same time, a weird spatial anomaly happened where a wormhole opened and a planet from another system was spat out and collided with the Candidate 3 planet. Thankfully, before that cataclysm happened, the other crew that these guys play, the crew of the Klingon ship Dokabach, managed to hold off an entire flotilla of Romulan ships, giving their fellow ally ships time to try and hold back that collision course planet for as long as possible, whilst another one of their ships evacuated as many of the relics and ruins and pieces of ancient technology they could find, whilst also trying to help evacuate the Tilikaal, who were in stasis. But didn't quite manage that latter part. As time ran out, the Assessor, known as Tredik, used the advanced technology of the Tilikaal to not only transport everybody, including their ships, out of system, which happened not quite before the other crew of these guys accepted the Tilikaal's offer for help, therefore drawing them into another dimension, but that's an aside. The Assessor Tredik apparently teleported the bodies of those interred Tilikaal somewhere else as well, but it's not known whether or not Assessor Tredik survived the impact of the planet collision. And so, fast forward, sometime later, the crew of the Combs have been gifted this brand spanking new ship, which is an interesting technological fusion of both Starfleet and Klingon starship design and technology. And interestingly enough, rather than make it a walking, talking tank to destroy all worlds and systems, the crew have actually gone on a rather interesting approach by making it more of a, I suppose you could call it almost a planetary patrol and response ship. Because the emphasis you guys seem to have gone for is debilitating the enemy rather than destroying them. Unless, of course, they come within close range, and you can use that fronting ridiculous graviton cannon that you've got on the underside of your ship. Nevertheless, the crew of the Combs have been test driving their brand new ship, and so it gave them the opportunity to have a little jaunt into the Shackleton Expanse, where they haven't been to before. And even though they were giving their ship a bit of a test drive, a shakedown cruise as it's called, they answered the distress call of a ship not discovered before. A race called the Akaru, who are residents of the Shackleton Expanse, are venturing into space for the first time, and they got into a little bit of trouble, but thankfully the Combs crew were around to help. And after fending off some pirates who were there to take advantage of the situation, they've since escorted the Akaru ship back to their home planet and are now in the process of introducing themselves. So, last we left it, I know this is a very long summary and I apologise for that, but there's a lot going on. Last we left it, some of the crew of the Combs are down on the planet as essentially the diplomatic side of the crew, and so the captain and most of the others are still aboard ship, whilst the first officer and the more diplomatic and scientific members of the crew have gone down in order to essentially do first contact with this new race, the Akaru, and of course not only make first contact, but they have indulged in being introduced to the Akaru's civilization. Who the Akaru themselves physically do resemble Romulans and Vulcans, but are still somewhat different in their own regard. But a somewhat bigger surprise was waiting when they eventually met the head of state for the Akaru, which bears an uncanny resemblance to the Assessor that I mentioned earlier. And so, with that rather long summary done, are there any questions anybody has on all of that spiel? Did anybody fall asleep during it and therefore need me to address a point again? Or same goes for chat, actually. It was a bit long, wasn't it? Well, let's get into this. Any questions before we start? Nope. Alrighty.
Nope.
Then let's go back to the throne room on the planet below, Setu, in their capital city. So we have our little diplomatic corps here. We've got Flask, we've got Gurkha, we've got Councillor Sachs, Lieutenant Turin, and Dr. Sott, who are all presenting themselves before the leader of the Akaru. You were introduced to the notion that beneath the Iryax, who's like the tip top, the head of government, there are about 300 or so governors, I suppose, would be the closest equivalent, who call themselves the Akaru back. One of which you've been introduced to, which is this lady here, Akaru back Chiel. And so, standing next to the Iryax, who is apparently the leader of the entire thing, she directs your attention to, I introduce Iryax Nadeon the Ageless, leader of the Akaru. At which point she takes a couple of steps back in order to allow you full view of the Iryax. Meanwhile, I do hasten to note that Akaru Chiel's 2 assistants, who were present before, are still present. They're just quietly off to one side of the throne dais. So, give me just one second. I'm going to go for... Now, I know this voice modulator I'm about to use isn't always the clearest for you guys, so if you miss out on what I'm saying, do let me know and I'll try and be clearer.
We are the Iryax. Welcome to Setu. Present yourselves.
So, essentially, guys, you have first contact to get through here. Sorry, Mark, did I just momentarily deafen you?
Alright.
I sometimes forget that the voice modulator, for whatever reason, does seem to increase my voice output volume for some reason. I tried tinkering with it. So essentially here we can do this in one of 2 ways. And it's entirely up to you how you want to do it. We can either roleplay this out, or we can just assume that you guys act according to the usual diktats of first contact protocol, and just formally introduce yourselves and whatnot. And we can just skip through the formal introductions. How do you want to do it?
We agreed our approach before we landed, didn't we? So...
Well, this might be a good time to remind folks.
We're not offering them membership to the Federation, we're just initiating a cultural exchange and trying to learn as much about them. Telling us what we're about.
Pretty much. That was the impression I was under. Unless anybody wants to contradict me.
All good.
Excellent. So, once again, the question stands. Do you want to roleplay this out in dialogue, or would you rather just skip the niceties and formalities and get straight down to what
Go
you're
for the
actually
meaty
doing?
stuff.
Go for the meaty stuff. Okay. So, the formal introductions are made, more than likely by Flask, since he is the highest ranking member of this team here.
And a master negotiator and diplomat.
Master might be stretching it, but he's not half bad. Let's not forget. He's not half bad at all. Now, during this initial exchange, Councillor Sax, being a betazoid and therefore an empath telepath, manages to detect that the Iryax is performing light mental scans. Nothing too invasive, but is scanning them is scanning each and every one of you telepathically. So, however Councillor Sax and therefore the rest of you choose to react to that is up to you.
Oh, Councillor Sykes would be doing the same thing. Just slowly probing them as well.
Okay. Fair enough.
And apparently we have an image of what's happening in Fluff's head.
Yes, the cymbal banging monkey is actually something I deal with all day, every day, so I feel your pain. But, okay. Let me rephrase that. How forcefully is Councillor Sachs going to be pushing this retaliatory probe? Is she just going to try and get a read of surface thoughts, or is she going to do a bit more?
No, just surface thoughts.
Okay, cool. So, you don't need to roll, unless you want to, because you do have an empty momentum pool. So
Go on, Liz.
a light one could be used for just grabbing a bit of extra momentum if you want to. That's fine, no problem there. Which would essentially be...
Sure.
It would probably be presence and... Probably be presence and command from Councillor Sachs, I would have thought.
Let's see.
Now she's got empathy and diplomacy, so she could probably use either as a somewhat diplomatic means of just testing the water, as it were. Nothing? Okay. So it's just
could have been worse. It could have been a lot worse.
It could have been a lot worse. It could have been an accidental whoops-a-daisy where you essentially accidentally trigger a thought to them, which was maybe criticizing their fashion sense. I don't know. That could have gone down like a lead balloon. But no. No successes doesn't mean you get nothing. Your Councillor Sachs's general impression is that there is a great deal of genuine curiosity from the Akaru about all of you. Naturally, the security specialists who are scattered liberally about the place, they are trying to hold their division between professional focus and being ready for potentially anything with their natural curiosity about you. Akaru Bakchiel is a little bit more difficult to read because she seems to be a partial telepath herself, and therefore is a bit more practiced, but it doesn't seem, to Councillor Sachs's impression, that the Akaru who do have telepathic abilities, which, according to what you were told, may have been given to them by the Iryax, although this is not made clear yet, but that was one of the rumors you heard. They're not necessarily guarded of their thoughts in the way that somebody who's a telepath who's used to shielding their thoughts from another telepath is. So what Councillor Sachs finds is that Akaru Bakchiel's mind is very, very ordered, very matter-of-fact. She's holding her curiosity at bay, and she's here for business purposes. She knows that she's the next most senior person in the room, and therefore she has to hold herself. She has to hold back her curiosity. She's here to do the Iryax's bidding and be like the intermediary, the diplomat here. As for the Iryax themselves, the moment Councillor Sachs just brushes her own telepathic scan across the Iryax, it's like reading... It's like trying to read a mountain. Sachs is aware of the enormity of the Iryax's mind, and can gain a general sense of, again, curiosity, guarded curiosity. But it's genuine. But there is an immensely powerful mind here with the Iryax. And that's about the thrust of what you get. So overall, folks don't seem too concerned about them using their telepathic abilities to essentially get a read on who you guys are, no?
Councillor Sachs just gives a thumbs up to Flesk.
Ding!
Huh?
So good! Okay, so...
You have our thanks for helping deliver our wayward children home to us once again. It is encouraging to know that even though there are dangers out there in space, there are also those out there willing to help others. So pray, tell us more about your Federation, how they came about the levels of technology they now possess.
Gradually and over time, working together across multiple species, we developed the technology through experimentation and development.
Commander Mounty.
Go on, carry on.
Is that not how you develop your technology before gifting it?
We have encouraged our children, the Akaru, to investigate all possible avenues of science in order to achieve the technological advances that we currently have. It is a tribute to their innovation that they have managed to bridge the gap between this planet and the stars.
Anybody who wants to can feel free to give me an insight and... insight and command, if they want to try and get a read on that conversation. On that set of sentences.
Would Casper's Hacks have any focuses?
I think so.
Might be a
Psychology,
stretch,
for one.
but persuasion as a focus? Not to determine what he's saying?
Not really persuasion as a focus, no.
Cool.
But that's still
Woohoo.
pretty decent from both, so... yeah, I can go with-
Would Lieutenant Tyrin have any focuses in this?
Ooh, now, Tyrin is all about that science. I mean, she can try, by all means, doesn't mean you don't. But from all of her foci, it seems to suggest that she is definitely all about that science. She does have xenoanthropology, but she doesn't know enough about the Iryax / assessors to be able to use that. So, you know, once again, Tyrin can give it a poke if she thinks she wants to.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
not bad. That's not bad at all. So there we are. 1, 2, 3. Yep, that's not bad. Okay. Those of you who are used to dealing with people, that was a very diplomatic answer. But you're not sure why. There was it was almost like a hesitation there before the Iryax answered. It was momentary. It was almost like your subconscious twigged it. Because some of you are trained in, how to deal with people, and some of you just through talent of, dealing with people. Others, like Flask, who are denobulan and therefore used to large social groups, can pick up on social cues too. So it was very much a case of, there was something held back there, you think. Nevertheless, how you choose to respond to that is up to you. If no one has anything else to add, then the Iryax puts itself into the conversation again.
So, now you are here and making diplomatic overtures to us. Perhaps we could begin negotiations to see what it is we could perhaps trade with one another to a mutually beneficial degree.
Essentially, the Iryax would like to know what you got. What do you think you would offer them, essentially?
Maps of our exploration so far.
Ooh.
Sharing in research.
The Iryax leans forward in their chair at this.
Maps. You have great and detailed maps of the systems nearby and beyond.
We do. We are expanding our knowledge of the area surrounding this place, but beyond, the area of the Federation is well documented. This area we call the Shackleton Expanse is being studied heavily and is ongoing research and exploration.
Therefore you have charts, maps of the areas around our space as well as nearby. Into yours too. We would be very interested in this information. We have had a scattered dealing here and there with merchant vessels who have come through this system. Most of them have been interested only in trading for goods. But it was these encounters that prompted us to begin encouraging the Akaru into developing their own space program. Information, however, is just as useful to us as anything else. We would be very interested in opening trade negotiations for these maps and knowledge of other systems. What kind of things would you wish in return?
Les just turns to Gurkau and Turin, understanding what's going on. The artifacts we found.
Yeah.
Obelisks. Research?
Exactly. The technology tree.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
Interesting. Your technology is more advanced than ours, and yet you would seek more knowledge of our tech. Why?
If we were at your stage of development, your technology would dwarf ours, and with that knowledge we can improve ours and make it much more efficient and advanced ourselves.
Interesting. And what was that I just heard mentioned about monoliths and the like?
In our explorations, we've come across monoliths. We do not understand them, and they are in varying stages of disrepair and functionality. We have not been able to discern their function.
And what makes you think the Akaru would be able to assist with this?
We were hoping the Iryax might know as well.
I'm confused. That was not exactly an answer. Yet I sense an implication.
We're trying to understand how these things work, and you seem to be the guide for this culture and for this Akaru civilization.
As I have always been.
We were wondering if you've also experienced or come across these things yourself and can discern them.
There's a very pregnant pause of a few seconds.
we to have come across any such thing, I'm sure we would be more than happy to share such information. We will, of course, consult our historical and archaeological archives to see if there is anything remotely similar to what you suggest. We will offer them to you to see if it is indeed what you were after.
In addition, we'd like to continue dialogue between the Akaru and the Federation. More so than what we could do. The Federation have a specialist team of diplomats and envoys who would like to maintain an ongoing relationship. It'd be great if we could then take forward this message of friendship and begin that special envoy.
We would be open to such negotiations.
The Iryax also gestures over to Akaru back Chiel, who steps forward and hands their equivalent, which is still somewhat chunky for an early version of a datapad, but nonetheless is still smaller than it should be at this point in their technological development. Hands it to one of her assistants, who comes down the stairs and hands it to one of yourselves, probably Gurkow. And from her place, still next to the throne, Akaru Bakchiel says, here are a number of the materials that we currently have available for trade, should you wish them. They are currently being mined out of our subterranean and lunar installations. Gurkow looks over it, sees a lot of standard stuff that you expect to see in a Class M planet, so you're finding ferrous materials like iron. You're also finding traces of copper and other such useful items around the place. Of interest to yourself, which, if I recall back in the previous episode when I think it was Tavish was asking what their drive core was made out of, and I came up with a non-answer of unobtainium. It turns out that cortinum was the mineral that I was trying to think of and couldn't. So cerium is the other mineral that they have, all of which are very useful, either in creating ship hulls, or indeed for creating they're very useful in their conduction rates. So useful for making things like electrical conduits, circuit boards, and the like.
Thank you.
So
this
they
would be
do have materials.
one thing we'd like to offer. We are predominantly explorers and scientists. It'd be great if we could have a representative from the Akaru to come with us as we continue to explore and study the Shackleton Expanse. Would that be of interest?
Akaru Bakchiel looks towards the Iryax, who doesn't seem to move, only move their eyes in Chiel's direction. There seems to be a very silent telepathic conversation going on. It's over in a couple of seconds, as you might imagine. Telepathic contact moving at the speed of thought rather than the speed of sound waves, so... Akaru Bakchiel nods to herself before turning back to you guys and going, that is an interesting proposition and one we will consider seriously. It requires some debate, but the Akaru would be up for an envoy. We would have to find a suitable candidate, of course, and that would require some time to screen out such candidates. But we find the overture an interesting one, a pleasing one also. Now, before the talks go on any longer, I am going to zip us back to the bridge
Oh, am I on night watch?
Oh, what did
No.
Tavish do?
No, yeah, Tavish would be on. Tavish was on night watch.
Yeah, she gave the captain a chance to go have fun in the pits.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So-
That's a good point. That's what was done. So essentially, we have got Flesk is on away team. So is Turin. So is Gurkau. So is Sot. And so is the Councillor. So those guys are off to one side for now. Let's see. Yep, Tavish has probably got the con at this point as the captain is off because folks were invited down to the planet's surface in order to essentially be able to stay in the palace. So a good many have probably, you did say, have gone to enjoy such. Some were left in charge of the ship.
Is Dynef down there?
That's a good
I
question.
don't think we allowed the Klingons because we didn't
That
Oh
was
want
a
yeah,
good
yeah,
point.
yeah.
Right.
The Klingons were banned. That's it. That was right. The Klingons were outright banned
Hence
from
why
going
the-
down there.
It's why the captain's in the fighting pits.
Tony can be there, and we'll have a Dynef there,
Sure.
and we'll have a Garrow there.
Makes sense. That means for the moment, Ensign Aversion, unless of course Gurkau is. That's a good question, actually. Who does Gurkau consider the senior of her science team, Aversion or Dufresne?
Hmm.
Because technically Dufresne outranks Aversion, but it's up to Gurkau who she puts as her second in command. So
It's gotta be Dufresne.
it's Gurkau.
He's got sensors that's focus after all.
Well, there we are.
Has
then.
Tavish got a second in command?
You almost
Does
did, but then she disappointed you.
I would say, does Tavish delegate at all? Like, she's very much a micromanager.
Well, there's that.
Does it all herself.
Yeah. Can we have? I can't remember her name now. That's bad.
That can't be your second in command then. You don't even know their name.
Let me zip us to engineering so you can see who you've got.
Sharara.
Ensign Girani, yes.
Yes.
Because Kenson was such a disappointment.
Yeah, she's Cadet Kenson now.
Well, I forgot Mounty's not here anymore. Let's take Mounty away. She's not visiting anymore. Let's
So yes, can we have a ensign up there?
bring
Keeps on
Shara
doing-
Girani.
If Sharani keeps on doing well, she doesn't disappoint me. Then
Don't disappoint me.
we'll put it in Tavish's place, which I think is there.
So if Shirani disappoints you, are you gonna go with a Klingon?
Yeah, I'll go with Klingon. Yeah, it's my second command. Sharani better.
Step up.
Tavish is like, yeah, this is your time to step up. Kenson disappointed. You need to step up.
Bless. Okay, no problem. Okay, so back on the bridge, and essentially, the captain, as we have just noted, has gone off to keep the other Klingon members of her crew occupied in case they get any bright ideas about trying to taste the local booze. But let's see. Since we did just make a point of it, Dufresne, who's now currently monitoring sensors, Dufresne detects a sudden subspace burst of tetryon particles and EM radiation near the planet, and seems to be creating a sustained energy burst, which is heading down towards the planet.
Tavish will go. Can we? It is more than likely a ship. So let's go in. Let's do a scan and go and have a look.
Okay. So, can we get Dufresne, aided by the ship? So, seeing as this is your second, Connie, you might want to take the part of Dufresne.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing a sensor scan, so that's probably going to be control and science, aided by the ship's sensors and science.
Combs, A, sensors, and science.
Bad
That's
at
why
all.
she's second in command.
Nice.
Very good. And you added momentum there. So this indeed is a big burst of tetrion particles, forming almost, not exactly a wormhole, but something very similar, as a load of subspace particles are being aimed in the direction of the planet Cetu, but they appear to be focusing as a very, very tight, coherent stream. And with that roll, you can see that it is directed at a point on the planet, one of Cetu's large oceans, which is unusual. Why would it direct itself there?
Tavish is going to say thank you to Brain, and she presses a combat to get in touch with the captain. Captain.
So, somewhere down in the fighting pit, on the Klingon deck, which I believe is deck 7. Liz, describe to us what Captain Hopkins is in the middle of doing when she gets this call from the bridge.
She's probably in the middle of a fight with some of the Klingons.
Some of, suggesting there's multiple, all just this mass brawl going on.
Yeah, you know, just gotta keep the crew occupied.
Team building. Team building exercise.
Team building, which also includes biting, scratching, punching. So I'm kind of imagining her in the mid, on the top of this large, scrappy mound of Klingons. She has to pause. With got another Klingon crew member in a headlock, about to lay in more punches when she has to pause in order to take this call. So, Captain, you've just got a call from the bridge.
Yes, Tavish?
How much blood wine have you had?
How much is too much?
Could you still do duties?
Yes.
Right. We're picking up a Tetrion.
That's the right.
Tetrion signature. In the vicinity of the planet. It seems very suspicious. We've just done a bit more of a scan. It looks like there's a wormhole of some sort being pointed at one of the oceans. I'm just making sure that if you want to come up here and take command, you are just to let you know. I feel like this is. I feel like this could be a ship, essentially.
It could very well be. Alright. Well, This was fun while it lasted.
So she
Sorry
puts,
for spoiling your
she puts
Sorry
the
for spoiling
Klingon
your
down.
fun,
She probably puts the Klingon down and be like, all those able to go back to work. Back to work.
Get back to work.
Those that are unable to work due to various reasons, go to sickbay and get healed and then go back to work.
Captain, do you want me to let the way team know?
Good question.
Yes, just in case they experience something that's not supposed to be there.
Okay, Captain, I will do. Tavish, over and out.
As Hopkins walks to the edge of the Federation and finishes off her last of the blood wine that she had, and
Glug,
then
glug,
pours
glug,
herself
glug.
into the turbo lift.
All right,
She's a professional,
Tavish.
ladies and gents.
Tavish asks, have we got our cons? We have, haven't we?
You've got your communication officer, Ensign Ravalon, over there.
Ensign Ravalon, get me a line of communication with Commander Flesk, please.
Commander, the first officer is currently in negotiations with the Akaru's leadership. Do you want me to send an open signal or a secured one?
Secured one, please.
Coming up, Captain. Okay then, in that case, let's go back to the throne room. So let's take these off and move back to... back down on the planet. So some negotiation has been going on. You know, we just had the bit with the list of ores and stuff that the Akaru currently have that's of value to you that we could you could trade with. It's around about that point, as more such discussions are going on, that Flesk's comm badge starts to chirp, indicating that he's got a secure message coming through.
Flash will sort of apologise. I'm sorry. Must be serious if they're messaging me during negotiations. Hello, Commander Flesk. He taps his badge.
Commander
Tavish,
Flesk,
you're up.
this is Commander Flesk, this is Tavish.
Tavish, what's up?
We're getting a Tetrion reading. Is it Tetrion? I did get it right.
Correct. Yeah, you got it right. You got it right.
I was going to say Tachyon.
It's one of the two.
Yeah, we've got a Tetrion
Funky space
reading.
magic, you know, what the hell.
We've got a Tetrion reading in orbit above the, around in orbit over one of the sea. It looks like there's it's concentrated on one of the oceans on the planet. It looks very, very suspicious. We're just about to go and have a look now and investigate. We've done some scans, but
so you don't have anything to identify it at this moment?
No.
Okay, I am going to share this information and ask our hosts if they're aware of what this is.
Well,
Yes.
as you are having this conversation with Tavish, Gurkau, Sot, Turin, and Councillor Sachs are momentarily going through the motions of just answering questions, having a look through the list of stuff that they can offer, when one of Akaru Bakchiel's assistants runs up to her and has a discreet conversation with her and shows her a datapad. At which point the Akaru Bakchiel reads it over, turns towards the Iryax, and both seem to engage again in silent communication.
It's going to be at that point that Lesk interrupts and goes, I've just received a message from our ship. There seems to be a subspace particle Tetrion being identified of one of your oceans. Our ship is moving to investigate. Do you know what that is? It's very unexpected to us.
Indeed. This is the first time we have encountered such an anomaly. Perhaps you could give us some time to analyze it and attempt to discern what it is directed at before you make any investigations of your own.
I will instruct our ship to scan from afar. As it is concerning, as we only ever detect these sort of things in subspace, for it to be appearing on a planet could be potentially dangerous.
We would ask you to refrain from any such sensor scans until we ourselves have investigated.
Okay. In the nature of open diplomacy and building trust, I will relay that request.
Councillor Sachs, the moment the assistant handed over that report to Akaru Bakchiel, there was a sudden, as Akaru Bakchiel was reading the report on the datapad, there was a sudden spike of anxiety, at which point, when she had that telepathic communication with the Iryax about the subject, the Iryax themselves, their mountainous mind kind of trembled somewhat, got a very big anxious sensation coming off of that. And when Flesk suggested that the Combs was going to conduct a sensor scan of the area that the Tetrion beam was focused at, there was a huge spike of anxiety then, at which point, you know, you don't think that Councillor Sachs does not believe that whatever is there, the Akaru and Iryax especially want you looking there.
Flesk is going to open a channel to Tavish. And he's going to have a conversation with Tavish. Now, Flesk and Tavish have worked together for a very long time. So she should be able to pick up on some of Flesk's cues.
Aha. Talking in code.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It won't even be that strong a code. Flesk is just going to be quite open and say, Tavish, our hosts have indicated that they wouldn't like you investigating the area. And I suggested that you'd scan from afar to be safe. They have requested that you don't do this. I certainly don't want you causing a diplomatic incident by getting caught doing such a thing. Is that understood?
Of course, Commander.
Oops, sorry, someone's at the door. Be right back.
No problem. Now, at this same kind of instant, both Turin and Councillor Sachs start hearing whispering at the edges of their minds. Very strange, very odd little whispers. Can't make out what they're trying to say. They're just there.
Has this ever happened before? The whispers? Because I was going to say, didn't we get that when we were near the obelisk?
Now this is Dave asking, yes?
Yeah, this is Dave asking, not... but
in that case,
not obelisk,
I can
the
say
monolith.
Yes, actually.
Because wasn't that before, like, Gurkhau got taken over?
That's a good point.
Would Gurkhau be hearing whisperings then?
Gurkhau is
This
not
is what
hearing
they-
the whisperings, no.
I've just ordered myself for stealing their plants, I guess. Fine.
No, for whatever
You
reason, it seems only those two who have telepathic abilities are currently having this happen. Until such time, of course, that Gurkau manages to actually create that means of telepathic communication using the need to leave a neural parasite, at which point we get into a whole different kettle of fish. But until such a time comes about, for right now, no, Gurkau is not getting this. Now, whether this is the exact same kind of circumstance as before, that's up to you to decide and maybe even find out. But I suppose, yes, it can feel very similar to what we've come across before.
Do the Akarus seem to be receiving these whisperings as well?
Trying to just get a read on what they're doing at the moment, it does seem that all of a sudden the two leader cast are acting a bit, I wouldn't say shady, it's just that they're acting a bit squirrely about what's going on. So they definitely seem to be anxious about something. But
should I?
Speak your mind, Liz.
Should Counselor Sachs attempt to stealthily dig deeper into
Yes.
the assistant's mind to figure out?
It's not a matter of should, is can.
Don't worry.
Counselor Sachs.
Don't worry. We have the greatest negotiating diplomatic tool of them
Boom.
all.
You know what?
The
She's gonna do it. She's going to try
The
to,
graviton cannon.
without getting
Oh,
caught,
wow, okay.
delve into the Akaru Beck's mind to figure out what might be going on and what they don't want us to know about.
Ooh.
I think Flask is okay with this. He doesn't want you getting caught doing it. This is just... That was the order. Don't get caught.
The funny part is, this isn't a counselor who...
Yeah, well, the order wasn't specifically to the councillor, but she could have probably picked up on his broader intent.
So basically, do whatever, just don't get caught.
Pretty...
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, all right then. Well, give it a go then. This is going to be... It's not insight now anymore. It's going to be something else. Presence, definitely. Presence.
And you know what? She's got to use her value of every side of the story must be considered.
Ah. All right then. Now she is a supporting character, and therefore the linking of her values to previous things is less important.
Exactly. And it also she's empathy, so that's focus.
Indeed, indeed.
Oh, wait. You can actually do the two. Okay. I didn't realize that was worth. Okay.
Yeah, it will just roll 2,
I thought it was...
and it will overtake.
There you go.
Well,
There's no other
all right then.
Because I remember when before with the determination you lowered it.
Yeah, because it usually replaced one of your dice, so it's no longer the case. It automatically does it now. So you still roll 2 dice, but it decides to overwrite one of them and make that a 1 automatically by using, excuse me, determination.
What? A little convoluted, but we get the 2 dice.
Yeah, you still get the 2 dice, but one of them becomes an automatic 1.
So
Automatic due success. So that's not bad at all. That is 3 successes overall. Ba-bing, ba-bing. So the Akaru, back in her moment of concern and looking towards the Iryax for probably an idea about what to do next, lowers her guard, her mental barriers, long enough for Councillor Sachs to slip in there and gain an impression of... It's momentary, she's not in there long. She gains an impression of an island, and the mental image of like it covered by some kind of translucent net, and whatever's in there needs to be protected. But then all of a sudden, the Iryax snaps their head in Councillor Sax's direction and shoots up out of their chair to stand.
You have conducted an invasive telepathic scan. This is a breach of decorum at the very least. I will ask your party now to retire back to your ship before we take any more drastic action that both sides might regret. Let us not taint the progress we have made this day with suspicion. You may see yourselves out.
At which point, accompanied by the guard, the Iryax essentially gets up and leaves, leaving Akaru Bakchiel, who is now herself looking very pointedly at the lot of you. Please remove yourselves from this chamber and then beam yourselves back up to your ship. We will discuss the manner in which we will have you answer for this breach in decorum at some later point. Please await a communication from us.
Right. You know what happens next time we have a diplomatic thingy? We send in the big guns.
The graviton
We send
cannon?
we send in the captain and Tavish to negotiate.
Which somehow seems to again involve the graviton cannon, I think, but we'll see. There's hope.
That's the last resort, but it is on the table. A lot more than with Flask.
Gotcha.
Ooh, that's five to beam up.
What?
The second counselor gets on board, she would immediately tell Flask what she saw.
So the away team return to the ship, still dressed in their dress uniforms. And as you speak, the Akaru are busy politely asking anybody of your lot who still remain on the planet to leave. And so, over the course of the next however long, various members of your crew who are down on the planet are going to start slowly beaming back up a couple at a time. Until then, yes, the captain has since extricated herself from Deck 7 and is back on the bridge, and everybody's selected. You might want to deselect before you select.
My bad.
It happens, it's an automatic thing, it gives you automatic.
Tavish has to go back to her seat. Oh.
And the big chair shuffle begins. Now, the good thing about the LCARS and the Universal Systems interface is that you can essentially pick up your console anywhere on the bridge, but there usually are set stations for such stuff. And there's an engineering display at the back, but there's also engineering over here, so there's room for everybody. Okay, so everybody is back on the ship again, and some of you, the telepaths amongst you, are still hearing the whispering.
And Counselor Flex will apprise the crew of what she saw
Okay.
during her little venture.
The telepaths focus on the whispering, trying to discern either where they're coming from or what it's actually saying.
They can try. Sure.
Yeah, Tarin will say that she is she still hearing voices? Are Councillor Sax and Tarin still hearing voices?
Councillor Sax, yes. Tarin? Where is Tarin? She gone?
She's here.
It's
Oh,
in
there
my
she is.
corner, bro.
On the bottom there. Yep, okay, so let's see. One is probably going to be aiding the other because one is a natural telepath and the other is a Vulcan, and their telepathic abilities are a bit more, I don't want to say limited, but they don't use them as easily, I find, do Vulcans. So, Turin can certainly aid insofar as using insight and command, I suppose, 1 dice, but Councillor Sax is definitely the full-on telepath and will be able to use 2 dice. And that's going to be insight and command as well for Councillor Sax. So this comes down to, now that everybody is back up on the ship, who is playing the part of, or who is controlling and rolling for Councillor Sax, and who's rolling for Turin?
We could keep it the same for simplicity.
Yeah, I've got no problem rolling for Turin.
Alright then.
Yeah. And I could still roll for Counselor Sax.
Groovy. Then go
I
ahead
am
and do so
rolling-
and see how we do.
1 dice. Any focuses in this?
Not really. Like I said, Turin is mostly concerned with her science. She's less experienced with using her telepathic abilities. That wasn't bad, though.
But Sax does have a focus.
Sax does have focus. She's got a very specific one. Telepathic location. So she is very practiced at this. And that was a whopper. Alright then. So, tracing these whispers, you both Sax and Turin are actually rather surprised to find that rather than coming from where they expect it to be coming from, which is the point in space where this Tetrion beam is apparently emanating from, the whispers aren't coming from there. They're actually coming from down on the planet, seemingly on an island in the middle of the ocean. So, what would you like to do now with this information?
Now that I'm back, can I look at the sensor scans of the thing that went into the ocean and see if there's any sort of like similarities to the typical emissions that the Akaru ship had when we saved them?
Run that by me again. Make it a bit more simplistic for me.
Yeah, I want to check for similarity between what went past while we were on the planet and a typical Akaru ship or technology.
Nothing actually went past. It's just a beam of subspace particles. Yeah, so nothing in the sense of that there was a ship or anything actually emerged from that wormhole and then travelled across space to the planet. So nothing physical, pardon me, has actually travelled that distance, but energetic, yes.
Okay, the energetic profile. If
The
that
energetic
can be...
profile. Okay, let's go with... Let me just get an idea of what we're looking at here. Where are we? Disunification is second contact, so we are looking at page 229. Give me a moment to find what I want to suggest is where we're going to go with this. No, not that. Okay, in that case, let's go with control and science, please.
And science. Can I have Dufresne assist me?
Absolutely, you can.
Anyone can please take the mantle of Dufresne.
So, daring,
go on.
pardon me, daring or reason and science, pardon me. Assisted by the ship's sensors and science too, so. And, of course, by Dufresne.
The ships and sensors and science.
Correct.
Yes. I have no focus, but Dufresne will.
Cool.
I'll do this.
Ooh, hello.
Oh, but with her assistance roll, she's gonna help me re-roll.
Reroll the 20.
Oh no! No wait, she re-rolls their assistant D20.
Oh dear.
It's fine because I have a Legion of Honor.
Yes, you do. Okay then. Cool. Well saved.
Shall I roll Dufresne?
Yes, please. So that's
Cool. What
going
am
to
I-
be either reason or daring and science, please.
Reason for sure. Science. There was a focus. 1 dice.
Ooh.
Reroll.
Cool.
Dufresne does have the assistant talent, which means that she may re-roll her assistant's dice if she wishes.
Better had. Better had.
Better had. You've already had one diplomatic faux pas. Let's not make it
Wow.
two.
Okay. Well, there we go.
Speaking of two, bada boom, bada bing. Okay, gee, Willikers, that was a very good one. Okay. Focusing your sensors on the point of the planet where the Tetrions seem to be focusing, you have, let's see, what do you get? So you've got the spatial phenomena. They have modest planetary defenses. Okay, here we go. As soon as you begin scanning in that area, what you find is that there does appear to be a landmass there, but it is cloaked. Well, not cloaked, it's protected by a sensor net that activates the moment it detects your attempt to scan the island, which essentially puts a screen over the whole thing. But that being said, what did you get with Dufresne? No, you got 1 defo, then you got 1 off of. So that was the reroll. So that's 2, and what you actually got was 3 successes. So that's 5 successes you got in total. So initially you meet this sensor net, which a bit unusual. Across the entire planet they don't have any sensor blocking tech, except for this one place that just so happens to be where this Tetrion beam is filtering down from space to. Since you got so many successes, what happens is that by analyzing the sensor net, you're eventually able to work out what's underneath it. And so what you get is that there's some kind of massive facility deep under the ocean's surface with a marginal power output that seems to be in some kind of advanced state of disrepair. Not able to get much more than that, but there's clearly some kind of facility on that island in the ocean with a sensor screening net over it. Now, the problem here is that the Akaru put a sensor net over that island, and they detected your probing their sensor net. So it's probably going to be a matter of time before they respond. So, ball's in your court for the moment. What would you like to do?
Is the wormhole still present?
The wormhole is still present. The
We
whispering
can
still
scan that.
continues.
We'll scan the wormhole. We said we wouldn't scan the planet. We'll scan the wormhole.
Okay.
Seeing as we're under observation. And we got caught with the councillor.
And now been caught with scanning the island.
Have we been caught? We haven't
Well,
scanned the island, though.
You did scan the island, and their sensor net triggered the moment you tried to.
Beans.
But it's only because you have such sophisticated scanning technology and such adept people using the sensor net that you were able to essentially, after you learned it was there, blow past it. But the Akaru no doubt know that you've now seen their sensor net and then just smashed it out of the way. In not literal terms, but you know.
Let's scan the wormhole then. See what's going on.
Okay, so you can either choose to make another sensor attempt if you wish, but at this point I can probably dictate to you what you do actually find without the need, because you've got a whole heap of momentum there and several successes worth of sensor related shenanigans, so it's up to you if you even feel the need to roll.
I think that would just invite potential complications, so I'm happy to breeze through that.
Okay. Everyone else good with that?
Go for it.
Okay. So, the wormhole itself seems to be composed of not only tetrions but also EM, electromagnetic radiation, and gravitons. This is not unusual in wormholes, but usually you would also see neutrino emissions, which in this case you don't, and you've only encountered these kind of weird wormholes where it's mostly graviton and EM and tetrions before. And that's every single time you've witnessed Tilikaal or Tilikaal technology opening vast wormholes in space. But this one seems significantly smaller than others. Why? You don't know. But if this is a wormhole in the same way that the Tilikaal have opened wormholes before, then, well, they've tended to open these things when massive planetary bodies have been hurled through them, but this is too small an aperture for such a thing, so you don't know yet. What would you like to do?
Can we send something through the wormhole if it's still open then?
Ooh,
Like a probe.
Yeah.
If you want to. That can be a simple task of asking your tactical officer to launch a probe, and then asking your science officer to just decode the result transmission that comes from the probe. So that requires nothing from Dyneth, because it's just, you know, point a torpedo or a probe, in this case at a static point in space, and how do you miss that? So I'm just going to have Gurkau give me a reason and science check, and I am going to allow you to use your God focus because this data will seem very familiar.
Can I also get
You can get assistance from any one person you like.
Lieutenant Turin, can she use her focus of Tilikaal technology?
I will definitely let you have that one, yes. So whoever's Turin...
Yep.
Fire up a reason and science with the focus of Tilikaal technology.
Okey-dokey. I'm rolling one dice, yes.
One dice, yes, because you're assisting Gurkau. Oh, what you will have. Good lord! If it was possible to have 2 momentum pools full of momentum, we would have them right now. Jeez willikers, okay. Excuse me, itchy nose. Right, well, yes. Definitely bears a strong resemblance to Tilikaal wormholes. The narrow nature suggests something else going on other than moving planetary bodies, so both Turin and Gurkau work at looking at what kind of energy is seeping out, and you've come across this kind of coherent beam before, back when you were over the Candidate 3 planet, when this crew helped Assessor Tredik patch together the Tilikaal communications array, whereupon a communication then came through from the Tilikaal known as Ashtamalia. So in a similar vein, it does seem that this is some means of an attempt at sending a communicated message. As opposed to what, man? A non-communicated message? I know what I meant. A message sent via some method of communication technology.
Can we try and tap into the phone line?
Essentially, yes.
By we, you mean Tavish. Tavish do it.
Why is
Cough.
Tavish doing all
Cough.
the illegal stuff?
Cough. Cough. I'm
Because-
coughing whilst pinging. Cough.
Because
Cough.
Tavish has made a precedence early on of doing illegal shit.
It's very she who smelt it dealt it. Right?
Well put. Well, indeed.
How about we let our communications officer do it?
I'm not saying Tavish doesn't do it, but if you need help from anybody appropriate, it's going to be.
Yeah, Ravelon. Let's do this.
You were talking about the communication, yes, Commander?
Yeah, let's tap into
Just checking.
it. Oh,
What was I looking at? We get new crew support, so we have activated Turin, we have activated Dufresne, we have activated Councillor Sachs. We haven't activated anybody else yet, have we? No, so this is going to be Ravelon's. We've still got 2 left. Cool. Alright then, off you go. Chris just excused himself? Nope, he's back.
Hello.
Chris, could we get you to be Ensign Ravelon, please?
Yeah, where's he gone? There he is.
Right,
What am I
let's
doing?
see. What is he doing? This is going to be trying to decrypt a communication, so this is probably going to be what's already selected, reason and science, with an eye towards either subspace communications, well, any one of his foci work. So
Cool. I'm not assisting, am I either? But here.
he's assisting, so... Yeah.
Oh, he is assisting. All right.
One
cool.
dice.
One
Oh my
die.
god!
Oh, hey, there we are.
hacking. For focus.
Okay, no, that's all right. Yeah, you are essentially breaking into someone else's communication. Yes, okay,
Yes.
fine, fair, and good.
Right. Are we getting the ship to assist?
Only if
No.
you need to, because what with Ensign Ravelon just had rolled.
Yeah. All right. Here we go.
Well then, okay. Seamless. Yes, you find a message embedded in there. It's a bit broken up, insofar as the message itself is either damaged in some fashion due to its method of transmission, or something to do with the coherency of the tetrions. Something. Not all of the communication is able to be decrypted. There's just too much junk data, essentially, in the transmission, which could be background noise, interference from the electromagnetic radiation, any number of things, but you can catch most of it. And what you get is a static-filled image of a masculine face fills the screen. The most notable feature being their wide blue eyes flecked with starlight and lacking a pupil or iris. Eyes much like those of Ashtamalia, though somehow more desperate, more fearful. Behind the face, you can see a background of strange and wondrous forms and colours, alternating between a symphony of thought and a chaotic dream tornado. This is unlike anything you've seen before from the pocket dimension. The transmission comes through. So even though it's not a communication in the traditional sense, you're still getting the equivalent of static on the line. So all you get is, "We are here because we desire it. Do not let the others into releasing. Please, if you can hear my words, turn back." And then the message shatters into a spray of prismatic colours before ending. Now, the one thing I will give you, because of that level of success that you've had, is that given time to analyse it, something does strike you as strange and and noteworthy. What's the best description? The phase frequency of the transmission suggests this is not coming from the same subspace layer, the same subspace dimension that Ashtamalia and her Tilikaal are trapped in. This is an entirely different one. Now, at the same time, Ensign Ravalon receives an alert on his communication console, and he turns to the captain and says, "Captain, we are getting an urgent transmission from the Akaru. It seems they're quite angry, sir. What would you like to... They're demanding we explain ourselves. What would you like to do?" "Good luck, Captain," says Flask.
Captain, I suggest we confront them, from what we have learned.
Can we put them on hold?
Ensign Ravalon has got his finger hovering over the please hold button.
Your subtle transmission is important to us.
Well, exactly. He's essentially looking to the captain as if to say, do you want me to put them on hold, Captain? You are number 1 in the queue.
So it was perfectly reasonable for us to scan it. The Tetrion beam could have been something dangerous.
The beam, yes.
We'll ignore the sax problem for the moment.
What about the scanning the island problem?
That's the one I was referring to, yes. Thank you, Liz.
Put them on voice only, please.
Voice only. Okay.
She doesn't know what to see their face.
This is Akaru Bakchiel. We demand to know why you went against our request to scan the island in our ocean. Captain of the Combs, I know you are there. I know you are listening. We demand an explanation.
Damn telepaths. Well, we scanned
Telepaths,
just to make sure there was no...
your ship is still very much in orbit, and it's rather hard to miss.
We scanned the island just to make sure there was no danger to our ship. The safety of my crew is my top priority.
I find this difficult to believe, Captain, that this was your motivation behind scanning that ship, the island, especially because the coherent Tetrion beam was directed not anywhere near your ship, but at the island on our planet. So how about you try that again, Captain?
Simple. The Tetrion beam could have done something to the planet, and I was making sure that the planet wasn't going to break apart and send debris towards my ship, as I've seen in the past.
We're not entirely convinced by your explanation, Captain. We would ask that you no longer send any delegations down to Setu, and to hold position and do not leave your ship until we give you leave to do so. Are we understood?
You say that again, please.
Damn it,
There will be no more diplomatic negotiations until you make reparations for this flagrant violation of the sanctity of our borders. Akaru Bakchiel out.
We can have restitution when we understand what's going on.
You know what? I've got a great idea.
Do it. Don't even need to explain it.
Oh, thanks, Commander.
I'm not drunk enough for this.
What's the idea, Tavish?
Captain, you may want to have some more blood wine.
I do not. You'd have to reach twice. Flusky, want some? She's heading to the replicator.
Okay.
I think one commanding officer being sound of mind is a good idea.
Don't you know?
I'll
Why
have some
makes
later.
Klingon sound of mind?
I'll have some later.
So, how do we want? Well, let's hear the idea first.
So, well, I didn't have an idea. I was just gonna completely troll that planet and start sending packets of infomercials to all their computers.
Sure, if we think antagonism is the way to go.
Yeah. I
That's
don't think
maybe
that,
not.
My question is, would we know if there is a way to put it's we're not going anywhere. Yeah, we don't want to antagonize them anymore. Yeah, but is there a way we can stop any telepathic thoughts?
Well, here's the interesting bit that I think I either forgot or didn't explain enough, and if so, I apologize. I'll try and do better. But the coherent beam of Tetrion energy that contains that message that you just replayed or just decoded does come from the aperture. The telepathic voices, however, aren't coming from... The telepathic whispering isn't coming from that aperture. It's coming from the planet. That island, in fact.
Hey, Captain, do you mind me talking to them? You can reprimand me afterwards.
Yes.
We do mind you talking to them? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, can Tavish really do any worse than that's already happened?
Yes.
Here's the thing: we're not going to move the ship.
Yes, but they also need to explain themselves. Yeah, whatever they're doing. Yeah.
So there is an answer. So we can't scan, we can't move, we can't land. But why not try and get the telepaths to communicate with the whispers?
Interesting.
Tavish will need to come up with some way to amplify telepathic signals. I don't know how technology can interact with telepathy. Let's just assume she's just going to bolt a satellite to the councillor's head.
I could do that.
Interesting. Councillor Sachs
And
looks
see-
horrified at the suggestion.
But we try and communicate with the whispers, get a clear understanding of what they're saying, and try and converse with them. It's not a scan. We're not moving the ship.
So,
Interesting.
are you saying like properly tapping into whatever this communication is? Because they're having a communication with the people. No. Essentially, we're trying to, how we get it is that there's the whispers are coming from the surface. Yes.
Correct.
Are we wanting to kind of hijack that so we can talk to the people from the beam?
No. So nothing about hijacking. The whispers are coming out. I'm saying we just talk to the whispers. We'll deal with the beam separately. See if we can communicate with them. But let's just try and get a telepathic connection to the whispers, so we can have a conversation. Before we know someone's being held prisoner, and then we'll deal with the beam communication separately, because one's coming from the planet and one's coming from the wormhole.
Right. If I'm helping with trying to boost our councillors' telepathic abilities, I probably need Lieutenant Tarani, as she is a Vulcan. You will probably have to help Ensign Ravalon with trying to tap into that. How's that sound?
This does actually seem that it's going to be a bizarre fusion between probably Dr. Sot helping on this, because a Betazoid's ability to be empathic, telepathic, is actually due in no small part to their brain and how their brain works, and it is a measurable thing. There is a specific part of the Betazoid brain that enables telepathic, empathic abilities. But amplifying this somehow through your ship's communications method is going to be some very interesting fusion here between medicine and engineering. So
Dave,
Tavish,
just to be clear,
Tavish and
just the
Sot.
ground.
Yes, Tavish and Sot with Sax trying to do the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, my idea had nothing to do with the wormhole yet.
Yeah. I was going to say, if you and Ravalon can look into doing something with the wormhole while we're doing that, and then after we've sorted that, we can get communications with. It might as well be done in tandem.
sure.
We don't have to talk to them straight away, as long as we've got it to where it's pretty much figured out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, let's just do the ground one first then.
Yeah. I'm still saying do the ground one first.
All right then. Then we're going to need to have Dr. Sot essentially be the way that Councillor Sachs is linked into the ship somehow to boost her own telepathic abilities through the ship in order to essentially boost the signal or create more of a conversation. So this is going to be interesting, and maybe a bit of a strain on poor Councillor Sachs's brain, but hey, that's what Dr. Sot is for. So who's going to be leading this effort? Because this is going to be some daring science kind of shit going on here.
I've got a. Let's see what Chris thinks of this. Tavish has got a little bit of a plan, especially from like the technology point of view.
Right.
So
Go on.
So Councillor Sax's brain doesn't, because it's going to put a massive strain on Councillor Sax's brain. Yeah.
Sure.
Have Tavish hooked up, not to her, but something where it, whatever we're using to amplifying her telepathic abilities, which is more than likely going to be on her head. Yeah.
To create some kind of device or interface to slap on her bonds to do the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That Tavish is hooked up to that, so Nylil can hold on. So Nylil can take some of the strain off of Councillor Sax.
Interesting. Okay. Sharing the mental load. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So Nylil can act as almost like a buffer.
Yes.
Makes sense to me.
That's pretty good, actually. That's some damn genius thinking. Okay.
When it comes to like doing the like kind of again the other technology bit of how we're going to kind of get that signal out. Can I ask? This is Dave asking a question. Matt.
Go on.
The deflector array.
Yes.
Would is that any good at like I say communication stuff? But
It's
can
not
it
ideally built for taking and receiving transmissions. No, it would have to be retrofitted. Mainly it's there as a big old shield to push stellar debris out of the way of the ship as it moves through space. The comm array would be the more appropriate thing to use.
Okay. Alright.
Yeah, the big satellite dish somewhere on the ship.
Okay. Alright, using
Pardon
the
me.
big satellite, the comms array then.
Tying...
and retroof.
Okay, so going to be a link from Councillor Sax to Nylil, from Nylil to the comm array.
Yeah. It has to, and Tavish will be like, let's do this in the medical.
Yes, let's do this in sickbay. Good idea.
Yes. If Dr. Sot has any ideas, medically wise.
Don't look at me. I was going to suggest Bluetooth.
Oh, okay.
Well, indeed.
Well,
right,
Tavish does have historical engineering.
Alright, let's go to the med bay then. So, let's throw peeps this way. Do I have anything for sickbay? I do, actually. Let's change the ambience. Okay, so into our spacious sickbay we go. And, can I not get Dr. Sot to move through walls? Apparently not. Let me change that so I can move Dr. Sot through walls. For a moment he goes translucent, woo, and through the walls he goes. Okay, there we go.
That's an amazing ability.
It was,
It's down to his...
It was an important sound effect, and it needed to be made.
That was down to Dr. Sot's amazing goatee.
It was. If he vibrates the bristles at a certain frequency, he can actually pass through solid matter if and when the plot demands.
Fantastic.
I have now given him plot beard. Anyway, moving swiftly on from this tomfoolery, we are down in sickbay, so we need to have this situation resolve itself. So, Dr. Sot is probably going to have to create the means by which Councillor Sax's Betazoid brain is going to be able to be interfaced with Tavish's neural interface and all of that jazz.
And
So
I was going to say, and seeing as Dr. Sot was one of the doctors at Tavish's operations and saw, it go,
yeah, that's a good point.
the actual procedure, he would actually know quite a bit about that.
So what we've got here is that reason and science on Tavish is 11.5. Reason and science, or reason and medicine from 11.4. Pardon me. Reason and engineering for you should be 11.5 for Tavish. Dr. Sot, reason and medicine should be 11.5 as well, so you two are tied. Councillor Sax, this is going to be utilizing her telepathic abilities, so that's going to be more presence and command from her, so that's going to be 9.4. So needless to say, Councillor Sax is merely assisting in this role, whereas either Tavish can be the primary because this is her bright idea, or Sot be the primary because he's going to be the one to make sure that nobody's brain explodes. So it
depends on the role. As long as I'm not doing daring or anything, if I'm doing like reason or something.
This would be down to reason, I would hope, rather than daring. Although we can go daring if we really want to.
You mentioned daring science earlier, and daring is very much not my middle name.
Is this involving the computer, by the way?
Shh. It's more involving communications than anything else. This is more experimental science than.
No, it's not that. It's the fact that Tavish has the neural
computer
interface.
expertise.
No, it's the neural interface. If it has something to do with a computer system. If we're using the ship's computer system.
Technically yes, but also technically no, because we're patching it into the communication system, which is still technically our computer, but we're not doing it for computering things, we're doing it for communicationing things, and I've just invented 2 brand new words there, but
Hold on, let me read it again.
we are mostly looking at communications here, so I'm going to make the value judgment that it's all down to communications, not computers. Communication equipment.
It says using that computer.
Yeah, again, what piece of technology do you use that's not a computer in some way, shape or form these days? Or even in the 23rd century? 24th century even, pardon me. I'm going to go with not for now. Computers, okay. No. Communications, more likely. So, once again, is it the Sot or is it the Tavish that are leading this interesting charge?
I have no problem. I have no...
Seeing as you're acting as a buffer, then, maybe
yeah,
you
let's
could
have
also
Dr.
assist.
Sot. Yeah.
Yeah, I can lead. So, reason, medicine.
2 for you, yep. Reason, engineering for Tavish, and then whoever's in charge of Councillor Sax, we're looking for presence and command from her.
Not a whole lot of foci for me for this sort of thing, is there really?
No, this is... strangely enough, Starfleet Medical did not prepare Dr. Sot for tying a betazoid to the ship's communication system. Strange.
Am I still in
yep.
Councillor Sax or somebody else?
You're still Councillor Sax, I believe.
Okay. What was it again?
What do we usually use for telepathic presence and command?
That's mine.
And
Oof.
I have a...
Okay, this is new territory, so something was bound to go a little whiffy, but...
using focus experimental technology?
Absolutely. You don't get more experimental than this. Okay, here we go, that's good. That's... Woof. Cracking. And so we are left with Councillor Sax herself. So far, so good. Oof. Okay. It was almost a 20, then changed its mind and rolled over onto a 14. So
Ooh.
there was a moment there.
Actually, I'm an advisor. Yeah,
You're assisting.
I'm assisting.
Now, advisor says using command. When you assist using command.
Okay. Yeah,
You were not using command in this instance. But it is a good talent to keep in mind. Alright, 3 successes overall. I'm going to say that was a success. So there is obviously some strain on Councillor Sachs from doing this, but with Dr. Sott monitoring everybody, making sure that the data flow isn't too much, you do get... Councillor Sachs does manage to extend her telepathic abilities outwards and tries to make contact with the voices. And in so doing, gains a number of impressions. She gains the impression of a person in some kind of constricting apparatus of some sort, a stasis tube almost. And as Councillor Sachs focuses on this image of this one individual, she notices that they have pointed ears and upturned eyebrows, suggesting Vulcan or Romulan or Akaru, unclear which. But there is a voice that is essentially saying, "Help us." But that voice is not just one voice, it is many voices. So as Councillor Sachs starts pulling back to try and get an idea of what she's sensing, she's getting the impression of what looks like not exactly a laboratory, but a technological facility where there are a number of individuals in what look like stasis pods, except that the pods themselves are actually open. And so the individuals seem to be hooked up to technology and are linked in some fashion to the technology, but they're not actually in any form of stasis. And there are some that are saying, "Help us," and there are some that are just calmly just chattering back and forth with saying nothing of much interest. But this these voices definitely coming from the installation down on the planet, on the island. There are many voices. Some are in a bit more distress than others. And the last thing, that with that level of success... yeah, okay, you can get this next snippet of information, but it's going to cost you a momentum.
Go on, we got a full pool.
One of the people telepathically communicating is a Romulan, and in the same, one of the pods next to this Romulan is a Vulcan. They're all dressed in civilian clothing. Not one of them is part of the military or Starfleet or like anything like that. They're all wearing civilian clothing as far as Councillor Sachs's vision. Sense, but there's a mix Vulcans and Romulans together in this establishment on this island down on the planet below.
And they're crying out for help.
Some of them are, others seem perfectly content. So, with this knowledge, going back to the bridge, what would you like to do?
Shoot the graviton cannon.
It always comes down to the graviton cannon.
Did I say that out loud?
So we've just had requests for assistance from people being held hostage, prisoner.
You don't know that they're being held hostage. Let me make that quite clear. There was no definitive indication that they were saying help because they were held captive.
We don't know why they want to help.
but you don't know why they want help.
So probably we're
Plug the councillor back in. We need more info.
But that took
No.
a great toll on Councillor Sachs to do. So she's not going to be ready for another one like that for a while.
I think. Sorry, go on, Dave.
I was going to say confront.
Do we want to check the wormhole message and communicate with them? Perhaps they know them.
Oh, that's a good point. You guys were doing that, weren't you?
Yes.
The wormhole message is a broad. It turns out is a broadcast. So it's not a two-way communication. It's a broadcast signal. And who was working with Ravalon on this?
Tavish.
Oh, Flesk. Flesk can do it.
Well, Tavish was doing the thing with Councillor Sachs and Dr. Zott, so she couldn't have been doing
Cool.
it.
So Flesk will do it.
Flask will have been doing it. Okay. What Ravalon and Flask would have found was that over a period of time, as you're investigating this specific communication, you're suddenly picking up subspace chatter over Federation communication lines, suggesting that more of these are popping up around the place. To begin with, they start popping up in the Shackleton Expanse. But as Ravalon and Flesk are analysing the communication data coming through from Starfleet Federation communication relays and whatnot, these phenomena are starting to spread. So it seems like this broadcast transmission is being made across a wide variety of places.
I suggest we open with that when confronting them. Say that this is now a phenomenon that's being encountered all across the Federation, and we need to investigate. And if they refuse, then we bring up the request for help point. Try and trap them a bit.
Also, to back up our statements, can we look for reports of missing Vulcan or Romulan
Ooh.
ships in this area?
Ooh, yeah.
I will say that the Romulans, typical to themselves, refuse to give you such data, because to do so would violate their own security, to give you any indication of any kind of census information whatsoever on Romulan citizenry. How dare you?
Of course, of
Can't
course.
we ask them really nicely?
You basically get a load of information back from the Romulans from such a request going, why? Why do you want this? Are you spying on us? You're spying on us, aren't you? You can't possibly be spying on us. How dare you? Asking information on how many citizens we have. Why? Do you want to exterminate them? Do you want to know exactly how many there are? Why don't we just give you population densities of our planets? We don't think so. Goodbye.
God.
We'll stick with the
keep-
Vulcans then.
The Vulcans, however, are a bit more cooperative.
Dealing with Romulans like dealing with Orions, but worse.
Yes, Captain Hopkins feels the Romulan migraine coming on again. Vulcans, however, no, Vulcans don't report any. The response you get back takes a bit to get back to you, but eventually the Vulcan High Command comes back and says that they are not aware of any civilians or otherwise having gone missing in that area of space. Vulcan High Command suggests that since technically it's Starfleet and the Klingons who are in charge of investigating that area, that you should be telling them this. So that's basically the snooty Vulcan way of saying, surely this is your job, not ours.
Yes, that's why we're investigating.
Hold on. Then can we ask?
Hold on to what you're going to say, Mark.
I can't remember the name of the where we stay.
Narendra Station?
Neandra, that's it. Can we ask them if they've had, and any other stations, in the Shackleton Expanse if they've had any, if they've had communications of Vulcans going missing.
Gotcha. That'll take a bit of time to filter through, but eventually it does come back that none have been reported.
It's considering it's an entire civilization based on what could be assumed to be Vulcan and Romulan DNA. They may have gone missing a while ago.
Yeah.
I say we reach out and talk to them, because we are now getting reports of these anomalies appearing all over the Federation, and so we are going to need to get answers if they're not going to let us investigate directly.
So the Akaru government essentially rebuffs any attempts that you make to communicate with them for the time being. You do notice that the 3 starships that they have, including the Starwood, the one that you helped, are all being reactivated and are going into active status. It does seem like they're crews are boarding and the ships are powering up. So
we have identified the people who are calling out for help. Not all of them, but the ones who wanted help. Lock on transporters. Speak them on. We'll have a conversation with them directly.
Because of the sensor net.
Yeah, but we blown past that once.
Yeah, you were able to get a surface scan of a facility with a power signature, but getting an actual lock on individuals is currently beyond your ability to do so from this distance with that sensor net over it.
Without pissing them off even more.
Does the Guicha have a cloak?
The Guicha has a cloak.
I was going to say, they told us not to move our ship, which is this ship, not the Greacher.
Oh dear lord.
Actually, no, the Greacher's not big enough.
Yeah, it is.
It's not.
It's depending on how many passengers you're going to have.
Yeah. And we don't know how many passengers we're going to have.
Can we identify 2?
Was it 2?
That council
The Guicha does not have the cloak.
Oh, pardon me, the Guicha doesn't. Okay. It's too small.
Okay.
Our ship does.
Oh, well.
Yes, your whacking great big monster of a ship does have a cloaking device.
So let's should we cloak up and actually just send the combs down?
Yeah.
It's too big.
No, it isn't.
Actually, yeah, it depends on.
This is. I'm not saying it's not possible.
We can go down. We don't have to land. We can just go through the sensor net to a point whereby we can either disembark or beam.
But
We just need
don't
to
we
get closer.
need uncloak as well to get to the net?
I was going to say, let's. I think we should be very, very insistent on them communicating with us.
Why don't we reposition the ship closer to the planet, directly above or directly next to geostationary orbit where the island is, and say, we have received a request for help. We wish for our questions to be answered, or we will have to take action.
Then that's the communication you send. Is we are planning to move to this spot because we have we've had a request for help from
Oh.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, we don't necessarily need to send that message, because they're taking actions at the moment by boarding their ships and activating them. We'll just reposition the ship there and see if they respond to us. If they don't respond to us at that point,
they are going to respond to us because they asked us not to move the ship.
All right, there we go. Don't send the message we're planning to do something. Let's just reposition the ship as they're not responding to us.
Maybe causing a diplomatic incident.
We've already caused a diplomatic incident at this point.
Do we want to make?
We're just gonna power on to the point that they're never gonna trust us.
Yeah, but they're holding. They've got people requesting help, and they're refusing to talk to us. We have to prompt a response, or we could just leave.
Or are you going to quote leave and just make to leave and turn on your cloaking device and come right back, or something like that?
Oh yeah.
Anytime we've tried to do something, they've known.
All right, just put the cloak on.
Have we got
We're
a
not
mole?
moving. We're not moving.
What was that about a mole?
Dave just said that, like, you know, they always seem to know what we're doing. So I'm like, oh, have we got a mole? Is there a spy?
No,
It was less that. It was more that they at least have the technological sophistication to detect when you were scanning their secure island. So you better hope they don't have a mole.
And they've got telepaths. So
Can we send a
telepathic
party
moles.
down?
Could you send a party down? Possibly, yeah.
It's like the negotiation party, and also the warpass party if things go that alright.
You want to send someone down to talk to them to distract them, maybe, or just to say, look, seriously, we got people that are requesting our help. Here's the proof.
I feel like that's it, and it's like if you do not help, we will see this as you know, keeping our citizens, keeping citizens of the Federation hostage
against their will.
Oh yeah, against their will. Yeah, I still feel like diplomacy is probably the best way to go about this.
But then we need them to respond.
That's why we send people down. Go, we are sending people down.
They told us not to do that.
Well, it doesn't matter. It literally, they either.
We couldn't hear them. We were going through a wormhole at the time.
Because it is risky sending down a shuttle. If it doesn't matter, we might as well just move the ship. Because at least everyone's on board safely on the ship. If the sole aim is to provoke a response or to get a dialogue done, it's less risky to just move the ship than it is to send people down. And we can't use transporters.
At least not till you're through the sensor net.
So I think it'd be better to move the ship and see if they message us then, rather than send a message saying we're going to do something, telegraphing what we're doing, giving them time to prepare, and then us sending people in a vulnerable shuttle.
Good point.
I think our technology, as it stands, is so much stronger than theirs. It's sort of like, are we really in trouble if they were to attack us anyway?
You
if we're in a shuttle,
done a
yes.
full sensor scan of their weapons technology, but from what you saw of their Starwood ship, their Iryax class frigate, they use disruptor beams, which, you know, aren't that great, but their torpedo equivalents are of the same intensity and destructive power as quantum torpedoes from the Federation.
Which a shuttle would be very vulnerable to. Question is, do we want to just move the ship, or do we want to move the ship under cloak?
Now, I feel of all people to have this crazy idea, Gurkow would be the one, because there's one other option that I was curious to see if anybody would come up with, but given that your guys are known for thinking outside of the box and are actually quite clever, and something of daredevils amongst the crew, there is potentially our way of getting crew down to the island that wouldn't necessarily be spotted by sensors, even ones sophisticated as the Akarus. You send something smaller than a shuttle.
I know what we're sending.
You essentially skydive.
Yes!
No, we're not skydiving. No. Don't worry. I've got this, guys.
Not the anti-grav sled. Well, maybe the anti-grav sled.
Time to retro.
I was worried what the answer was going to be.
Anti-grav
I'm just
sled.
terrified.
How do we do a space pod drop safely?
The anti-grav sled would be something of a one, because, you know, it as a device is not made for atmospheric re-entry, whereas there are suits available to you, because it's even a pastime. It's an extreme sport in the Federation, is essentially orbit diving.
Yeah, but who we
Are
send?
we going to try to turn some of our security team into ODSTs?
Yeah, I think we are.
That's up to you.
No,
I'm not necessarily saying do it. I'm just saying, if you want a means of getting crew on planet that's hard to detect by sensors, then they need to be small.
I'm
People
down for the
say
Star
so.
Trek Halo collaboration.
Well,
Yeah. Let's do
essentially-
this. I think this is the best idea ever.
Now, the next question is, who's crazy enough to do this?
Me.
Hopkins?
Have it.
Doctor,
Hey!
please.
Did I just hear you say bitch please?
No, Dr. Sot.
Well, Gurkow's
It-
volunteered right from the off. She's essentially just gone straight to the middle of the thing and gone, me, I'm doing it! I can see, so there we are. Oh, the captain's partly drunk, so that would make sense. Tavish, well, of course. Dr. Sot's up for it. Flesk is like, no frickin' way!
Quick question.
Yeah.
Would taking down some the transporter
Enhancer
Uh,
thingies.
enhancer thingies, yeah, would that help?
Possibly.
So we have the space.
Well, we just put
Whatever
them-
can be carried on you, really.
Yeah. Can I have a backpack?
Well, yeah, because you're going to need a grav chute, for one.
Oh, I tell you what. Everybody takes one of these trios of one of the trio of the
I'm sending Garrow as well, okay.
I'll take Gara.
the teleport thing. Yeah,
Flesk, you're in charge.
you got this, Flesk. Actually, cloak up.
Oh yeah, as soon as command's dropped out of the ship
No,
flying in orbit,
yeah,
I'll cloak up.
yeah, cloak up.
Oh, cloak the ship. Right, gotcha.
Yeah.
As soon
Yeah.
as you drop. Or before you drop.
Oh,
even.
also, Flesk will wear a cloak. Sure.
Yes.
Swoosh.
No, not that kind of cloak. Actually, that looks pretty cool. Captain, can we start wearing cloaks, please?
Very Klingon. High command.
That's not a no, though.
Yes,
Say
it
no.
wasn't a no. That's a good point. Alright, the ship attains low orbit. And then, of course, cloaks. Which, of course, will cause no small amount of consternation amongst the Akaru. Did you? I don't remember you telling them about your cloaking device.
We didn't.
Nope.
Didn't.
Alright then! They could just as easily assume that was this. This is that not the faster than light drive, the experimental drive that Tavish was going on about.
See, good big guy. I mentioned it.
Which you did. So they can just assume that from your conversation with Commander Mouty that this is the experimental instantaneous travel from one point of space to the other. The Aurora drive that you were working on. Right. So 5 people. Go on. Sorry, Mark.
So Flesk would recommend that there's a radio silence with the ship until an emergency extraction's needed. So that way there's no sign of the ship, because we know their sensors are good.
So
are we wearing those like black jumpsuits like Tilikaal and Crusher and Wolf were in the Cardassian two-parter?
Essentially that, yes.
Nice.
I think the only other time that these orbit diving suits were actually shown is from scenes that were cut from Star Trek Generations. There was supposed to be a scene at the start of the film where Kirk is seen to leap from a ship that's in low orbit over probably Earth, and he just skydives down, but he refuses to open his chute until very, very late, and then McCoy's at
That was on the film.
Oh, it's Star Trek 09.
Yeah.
But,
I was going to say it was on the the new Kirk Star Trek films. They skydived from low orbit.
Yeah, the J.J. Abrams ones, they were on there too, sure.
Yeah.
But this was before that happened. There was a scene on Star Trek Generations of William Shatner's Kirk, as old as he was, doing an orbit dive just for fun.
Oh.
Before the whole thing with having to christen the Enterprise B came about. So a little bit of Star Trek trivia there for you guys. But essentially, yes, we've seen it with the J.J. Abrams ones as well. They can be as colourful or as just plain dark as you want, like the one Chris just said, the one that Crusher and Picard had on instead. Probably best to go in the ones that aren't quite so bright.
the stealthier option.
The stealthier option. So I would like you to imagine, if you will, the fact that you are... almost like a cargo door opens in front of you, and all 5 of your characters are now perched on the edge in your full suits with their own air supplies. Looking down, you can see the curve of the planet, so you're not only you're just above the atmospheric envelope of the planet, and so you're going to be essentially diving down. And you will, at the speed you're going to go, you will more than likely make an orbit of the planet at extreme velocities before you eventually wind around in low enough to hit the island.
Can I plug in Nylil into the suit?
If you want to.
She can give me navigate. She can give me.
Yep, she can give you a precise countdown as to when you need to engage your grav chutes in order to arrest your terminal velocity.
Okay, so Tavish should go. Alright, I'm going first.
Oh, Hopkins would beat you to it if you would just jump.
So it's like, oh, hell no, and both of them jump out at the same time.
Oh,
So that leaves Garrow and Gurkau and Dr. Sot just still standing there on the lip of the diving platform.
do we need to do a roll for this? Or...
Nope.
No,
Not unless you want to.
I don't want to. I'm awful with ladders, and I don't feel this is going to go any better.
Cowabunga, yes indeed. So, if someone wants to do a cannonball off the edge of it, or just plain, star formation dive, that's up to you. But essentially, yes, you get the intense whistling of air blasting past your ears. There's some protection from that from the suit, of course, as well as friction resistance to try and make you sure you don't burn to death from atmospheric re-entry. But, especially because Dave just said that Nylil is calculating the exact angle of descent as well as the timing of when you deploy your grav chutes, I can safely say that it is quite the exhilarating ride to essentially go from being just above the atmospheric envelope of the planet to start to see the ground getting closer and closer and closer. Most of it, thankfully, is ocean. So if you miss on the wide side, you at least hit water. But according to Nyla's calculations, you should, if you employ your grav chutes at the right moment, manage to deploy them so that you do drift down onto this island. So, yes, just like the well, yes and no, according to that GIF from Halo, isn't that? Master Chief diving?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Not having played any of the Halo games because I am rubbish at anything to do with FPS. Nevertheless, our team of 5 manages to make it down onto the island, and it at first appears to be just a deserted tropical island. But before long, your tricorders alert you to the presence of an exterior hatch that seems to be part of some kind of hangar system. I say hangar system, just hangar bay. So, let me get you there. So yes, you find a hangar bay that you are able to utilize Tavish's hacking abilities to get into, and you find a mostly empty hangar bay with some kind of small spacefaring vessel. Doesn't look terribly sophisticated. Looks like something that would be a civilian craft at most.
Is it recognizable as Akaru technology?
It is definitely not Akaru technology. If you were to try and classify it, you would swear some of its components were Romulan. But it's not made to the usual standard of a Romulan ship.
Might be one of those trade ships.
So this is just the initial impression you get when you land here. There are doorways that suggest other places. Your tricorders register a number of different energy readings, one of which comes from the shield generator, which apparently is what's producing the sensor net. But there's also a reading that suggests there is a central computer core somewhere in this island establishment. And there's also another location deeper into the subterranean levels of this island that suggests some other form of technology is being employed, and there might even be life signs down there, but it's difficult. The tricorders are having difficulty telling. Which should be a concern in and of itself. There either are or aren't life signs, surely. So how would you like to go about this?
I would like to be Obi-Wan Kenobi.
So those who are watching or listening or don't know what he's referring to, we just posted a gif of Obi-Wan Kenobi turning off the Death Star's shields. That went to Discord, so that's why you didn't see it.
If we had comms with the ship, I mean, we're supposed to be radio silent, would the sensor net be able to catch it as well?
Probably.
It would, but you're not going to until you turn it off or need extracting in an emergency.
Indeed.
Do we split up, gang?
Well.
Hell no. That's how people die.
Zoink.
You four and Tilikaal.
Can I ask, is this civilian ship, is it Romulan?
It bears resemblance to a resemblance? Now I'm making up words. It bears resemblance to a Romulan ship design. Sure, some of the systems in there equate to what you've come across as Romulans, but you've never ever come across what the equivalent of a Romulan merchant or civilian vessel would look like, so you don't know for sure?
Tavish, could you fly it in an emergency?
Well, it would be the captain flying it, but I'm wondering if we can take over the system, though I don't know too much about Romulan systems.
Garrow specifically asked, can you fly it?
No, I'm not as good as pilot as. I mean, I could probably assist the captain.
Okay, so...
But perfectly honest, if you want 2 people to fly that ship, you want the captain and Gurkhal.
Yep.
Okay, well, we've got our way out of here then.
Yeah, it's just trying to figure out the systems for it and if it's got, and what power it has. I could probably hack into, the doors and launch it off.
But not fly it. Okay, so what do you want to do about proceeding further in to the island facility? Is there any particular you want to aim for?
Do we have our own cloaking systems?
What, on you
The Federation
personally?
does have isolation suits. The thing they used in it was in Next Generation.
I mean, it's a bit late now that we're already down here.
Yeah, it's too late. We're not invisible.
No, I mean, we have the shadows of the world.
Indeed.
Yeah, I think look for the sensor, turn it off, and look for any captives.
Okay.
Do we want to do the sensor net last? Because that's probably going to set off a bit of an alarm when the sensor net goes down.
Yeah, do it last.
Okay.
Find out where these people are. Find out what this facility is. Well, find out where these people are. Find out what the facility is doing. Shut down SensorNet. Get the hell out of here.
Okay. Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Does anybody have a different idea?
No, definitely find the people.
All good.
Then lower the SensorNet, because once
Okay.
the SensorNet goes down, they're gonna know we're here.
Alright, so like I mentioned, sorry, what was that?
Oh, sorry. I've got an idea for when we get out of here, but I'll talk about that when we get there.
Alright, so
Burn that bridge when we cross it.
So, you follow your tricorder's readings as best you can to this garbled, well, not garbled, but the life sign indication you've got is weird. The tricorder's having a very difficult time trying to determine if it is reading a single life form or many. And it's kind of getting its knickers in a twist as a result. But as you get closer and closer to these life readings, you can tell that at least you're getting closer to life readings, even if they are a bit non-specific, until eventually you wind up in a room which appears to contain banks and banks of computer tech, but attached to some of those computers are people. And as you enter, you can see that there are Vulcans and Romulans, not exactly in a stasis, but actually resting in these large pod modules and are seemingly connected to the machinery. And what strikes you is that the machinery down here is definitely of Tilikaal make. it has ceased being an Akaru installation, and now the technology has definitely more of a Tilikaal flavour to it.
Can we get their life signs?
You can get their life signs, and I will ask Dr. Sott to essentially give us a reason and medicine with his focus? Let's use your trauma surgery focus.
Sure.
Oh my, okay.
Oof.
So what you read is that these Romulans and Vulcans, even though it says that they are all Romulans if you hover over them, they are a mix of Romulans and Vulcans. And it seems that at some point within the last decade or so... Decade? Is that right? What year are we? 73... Probably within the last 2 years, actually. Let me quickly correct myself. 2 to 4 years, they received some obviously catastrophic injuries that they would have needed sophisticated medical technology to survive. Now, you don't remember seeing any kind of such technology available in that small civilian craft that's docked in the shuttle bay that you passed, that you entered through. And so, as a means of trying to stabilize them, maybe, these people have been connected into the machinery, which seems to be keeping them in a form of biostasis. So they're not getting any better, but they're not getting any worse. And they appear to have been in this state for a number of years. And as you're examining them, so I'm going to assume Dr. Sott is here, essentially scanning, gone around the room, scanning people individually. So you can spread yourselves out a little bit as you're busy looking at this. A voice from down the eastern corridor alerts you that someone else is coming too, as you hear a woman who, when she comes into view, is obviously a Vulcan, who, as she comes into view, says, "They were injured when we crashed all those years ago. Using the technology here, we were unable to give them the proper medical treatment they needed, so this was the best we could manage. Greetings. I am Tishael. I am the de facto leader of the people here. We had not expected to see people from the Federation and," she looks at Hopkins up and down, "other affiliated organizations. How did you find us?"
We helped a ship that was from this planet.
So the Akaru have managed to successfully create starships now.
Yes.
Good. That was our aim. At least, when I say our, I mean the Iryax, in return for our assistance. You have a questioning look upon your faces, and you all require an explanation. It is logical. Myself and the others here, she says as she steps in and just gestures to the pods around her. These are not all of the survivors of the crash, but these are the ones who needed integration with the machinery to survive. We are the remnants of the Unificationist movement that was attempted by Ambassador Spock on Romulus all those years ago. Ultimately, Ambassador Spock's attempts at managing to create a stable Unificationist movement on Romulus was unsuccessful. But the message still got out, and there were a number of us who still wished to attempt unification with our cousins. We were given no recourse but to flee. And so, that is what we did. The Romulan government pursued us, of course, not wanting any such indication of unification between the Vulcan and Romulan peoples to ever come about. And so our ship was damaged in the flight. And that is how we crashed here on Setu. There seems to be a questioning you appear to be burning to ask.
How long have you been here?
Estimations would put us at around about 4 years.
Why the
we-
secrecy?
Yeah.
Well, purely for survival reasons. One, mostly because we did not want the Romulans to find us. Two,
I have a bit.
we were aware. Hold on to it, Dave. Don't let me miss you.
Okay.
But secondly, those of us who come from the Federation knew that we would face reprisals for the breach of the Prime Directive. Dave.
Yeah. And Selfish just goes, well, that was going to be my next question. Is, you've interfered. Alright, so the question is, how much have you interfered?
Only as much as could be safely done. The Iryax and his people, pardon me, their people, were the ones who found us when we crashed and offered us what little assistance they could give us in order to assist those of us who were injured. We agreed to keep the scope of our presence as masked as possible, but there were certain things that the Iryax needed our assistance with. And so, since the Iryax was apparently intent on accelerating the Akaru's space program, we assisted in small places here and there, in exchange for their allowing us to use their facility to help stabilize the worst of our survivors. But there was one more pressing piece of assistance we needed to give the Iryax. And that can be best explained if you follow me. And she starts proceeding back towards the corridor. As such, I am assuming you're going with her?
Did Dr. Sott wanted to try and heal these people before we left?
Well,
Possible with...
go on, Connie.
Sorry, just saying, is it possible with what he's got on him?
Not really, no. This is the kind of thing that needs long treatment with in a biobed, so in an actual properly equipped Starfleet medical facility. So on board the ship would be a good one, because you now have, a huge suite of advanced medical technology up there which can be used for repairing or replacing damaged organs and stuff. These people have essentially been put on a form of life support for an extended period of time. So unless Dr. Sott does have something he wants to try here, his medical evaluation would be if he was going to try and help these people, they'd need to be essentially beamed up to the ship as fast as possible so that treatment can begin.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's anything to do right here, right now.
Yeah. So, following the leader lady, who calls herself Tilikaal, you are led through a short corridor until you come to a larger, wider chamber filled with row upon row of what are they called? They're not test tubes, but they're essentially large test tubes writ large and containing bodies. But they all contain the same body. Those that have occupants contain facsimiles, it seems, of the Iryax. And as you enter, Tilikaal kind of takes a side position as she beckons to one of the Romulans who is walking back and forth attending to this technology as he steps forwards. This is Dinal Donatra, our chief scientist. He has been the one predominantly tasked with looking after the Iryax's clones. It's at that point that the Iryax themselves makes an appearance as a transport beam of sorts. Brings the Iryax here. At first appearance, the Iryax sees you and then looks at Tishael and seems really, really alarmed. But then taking in the whole tableau, then just seems to sag with acceptance.
It is true. I am a clone. I am not the original Iryax that started here and decided to become ruler of the Akaru, or at the very least the guide of the Akaru. But during a part of the cloning process, one of the clones developed a fault. And the knowledge for maintaining this cloning facility was lost to us. At which point, every clone from that point onwards developed greater and greater faults. And now, I am running out of time. I know that this body contains too many faults for it to continue for terribly long. Therefore, my ability to help shepherd the Akaru to their destiny as a spacefaring species is drawing to a swift close. I need to get them to a level of self-sufficiency before my time is done.
I have a question.
Of course.
Why do you need to get them to that point? You talk about a destiny.
It was almost by accident that the original ancestors of the Akaru came across the island installation where this cloning facility was kept. It was decided by one of my cloned predecessors that since we had already been found out as to our presence here on this planet, we may as well use it to try and assist the Akaru. We used our knowledge of Tilikaal technology and advanced biology to assist the Akaru in accelerating their technological knowledge. However, that knowledge has started to become less and less available to us. The Unificationists, however, have enabled us to continue to a certain point. We are using their knowledge of space travel and faster-than-light technology to enable the Akaru to gain a foothold in the galactic theater, whereupon our hope is that the Akaru will be independent enough that they can be the masters of their own destinies, but yet not so focused on themselves that they do not acknowledge that there is a wider galactic civilization that they could make contact with. Not necessarily your Federation, unless that is something they wish to do. Please understand, all I ever wanted to do was to help shepherd the Akaru to become a fully independent, spacefaring species. Then I would consider my job done. as to how this facility originally came to be here and why it was just versions of myself cloned over and over, we no longer remember. But we do not wish this information about the true nature of either myself or the Akaru themselves to be widely known yet. The Akaru, I believe, are not yet ready. They are close, but not ready enough. They still have a dependency upon the leadership of the Iryax. We are gradually weaning them away from it. But if you expose us as being nothing more than a clone, a copy, then we risk their faith in their religious leader being lessened. That could complicate our manifestation of their destiny.
Captain, do you mind if I talk?
Go on, sorry. So, go on.
Captain, do you mind if I talk?
When has that ever stopped you?
Well, I'm asking permission.
Which in and of itself is interesting.
I know the captain's gonna make a remark on this. The first time Towers actually asked permission. Progress.
Uh-oh. What's she gonna say?
You have asked permission in the past to do stuff. Thank you very much. She's not insubordinate. She doesn't just do things willy-nilly.
Really?
Well, she does, yes.
Episodes.
She does, yes, from time to time when the need arises, but most of the time she does ask for permission.
Yeah, I know. That's a good point. I was just ribbing. Go on, dude.
You're just like messing with Tavish.
Tavish just turns around and just goes, look, I mean, we have a thing called a prime directive, which is, and she'll explain, you know, the prime directive in very shorthand. I should go, but I mean, pretty much the damage, from what I'm seeing, the damage has already been done. And from my perspective, don't get me wrong, I really do feel I feel empathy for your cause, but it's, I mean, I feel like if we disrupted things now, things would be unstable. I honestly, and she looks at the rest of the Combs crew and just goes, honestly, from my perspective, I honestly feel like this is way above our pay grade.
Yours, yes. Mine, maybe not so much.
Well, yeah, Captain, but you're still going to have to go back to the Admiralty and explain yourself.
Good point. So,
I
what
know.
do you want to do?
I think
Go on, Connie.
just thinking in terms of this little interesting thing, I would agree with Tavish in that the damage has been done. They've already interfered with the Akaru for so long that at that point it really would be against our first contact rule to dismantle all of that. But I think this clone still has many questions to answer. I would like.
Yeah. I agree.
This is me completely thinking outside the box here, but is there any way we can help with the cloning technology.
I think it's the Federation against cloning in general.
Yeah,
That is a good question.
aren't they? Because of the...
I know there's the bioengineering thing that they really don't like. Whether cloning counts as the same thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit no.
Well,
We could take the people here for emergency treatment with Dr. Sott back on the ship.
Okay.
Maintain the illusion that he's not a clone, but we would lean towards suggesting the Federation might be the best bet if he's not got long left.
the Federation is better than the other two options that this place would have.
Mostly diplomatic ties with the Federation.
And they are technically warp-faring already.
Yes.
When we found them, yes, that is true. When we found them, they were warp-faring. So our crew is good in that aspect.
Yeah, good point. Okay. So, final word then. What do you report back to Starfleet Command? Are you just going to report that you successfully made first contact, or
yeah?
any
First
more than
contact.
that?
Found some survivors from a crash. They're receiving medical aid, and that special envoy should be sent to approach the possibility of integration with the Federation. All the other details can filter out through,
Sure.
because they're more sensitive. Don't need to.
And that
Reload
will
the
also
problem.
take time. Negotiations with, negotiations take time to develop. The diplomatic corps, that's more their kind of job, and it will be done over a period of time. And if it goes straight into offering them a place in the Federation, then yeah, that's even more paperwork and whatnot. So it won't be a quick process, but yes, it's an available course of action, certainly. It just means that you'll be keeping the Iryax and the Akaru's secret for a time.
For now. For a time.
I mean, would we be telling the Admiral at his consent?
Well, this
then-
is a question, isn't it?
I'd say we could hold off on telling anyone until it's time for the application into the Federation. And we can make sure that the Iryax and the... I've forgotten the name of the other one now.
The Akaru?
Akaru have been open in the application.
Alright, so it's up to them to be open in their application. Okay.
Yeah, because that way we can... It's not really keeping the secret, we're just letting them reveal this at their best convenience when they feel comfortable.
Okay. Dave, you were going to make a comment. Was it along those lines as well, or something different?
I was just going to say, it's it's our old captain.
Yeah.
Technically, the Admiral in immediate command of you, yes, is your old captain. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think.
But he reports to somebody who reports to somebody who reports to the Admiralty. So, yeah.
Yeah. We'll go with Mark.
Okay. Liz, Connie, Chris, any of you got any final comments in this regard?
Nope, as long as we
Not massively.
Okay.
don't...
As long as you don't get in trouble.
Yeah, honestly, that is the key.
Although I do have reprimands to spend.
Well, would now be the best time for that, do we think?
No. But something needs to be said. we'll get there when we get there, because with the Tilikaal technology in the history here, and the fact that the Iryax looks exactly like Ambassador Tredik.
Are we thinking of Assessor Tredik?
Yes.
It's
That's what
very
I
easy to
mean.
get all these alien names mixed up, don't worry about it. Yes, there is that. That wasn't clarified. Well, yeah, that wasn't exactly clarified.
It doesn't sound like this guy would know.
Yeah, for a guess.
Potentially.
For a guess, Assessor Tredik is either a clone or the original.
Yeah.
And that's...
But I guess it's
Yeah, go on.
also like, why did this Iryax act so shady when the Tetrian particles went straight to the island? Like, it's
Yeah,
not
that's-
something so simple, right?
Oh, because the facility would be getting
Exposed. Is that it?
exposed. Yeah, for a
Okay.
guess.
Yeah,
But
yes,
I mean,
it's a pretty safe guess.
haven't asked, have we? So
Not in a direct way, maybe, no. But you seem to be of the course of let 'em answer over time, and maybe all things will become clear given enough of an opportunity.
yeah,
Obviously, we'll let them know that we're not going to make this knowledge yet, but we hope that they're going to be open with our negotiators when it suits them.
Okay. Well then, unless there's anything else to add, which I don't believe there was from the way other people were talking, then that, yes, essentially brings this episode to a close, because that was the main decision you had to make, was to how to move forward with the revelations you've just made. And so you are giving the Iryax and the Akaru the benefit of the doubt, which is good, because the way things were going, they were about to get very, very hostile. But now we've got the possibility of, at the very least, maybe future trade negotiations with the Akaru, maybe even membership with the Federation, which could be advantageous to both sides, considering, as has already been noted, the sharing of technology could be very beneficial to get out of the Akaru how it is they managed to make their technology so compact and yet so very, very what's the word? Not useful, because everything's useful, but
Effective.
thank you. But that's, again, going to be something that happens over time, so we shall have to wait and see how this develops. But of all the possible ways this could have unfolded, I think you've probably hit upon the best possible solution. So, nice. But like I said, that's where we're going to bring this episode to a close. So essentially, the last two episodes are part 1 and part 2 with each other. So we will end this here. We'll probably have our usual inter-episode week gap next week. So we will return
That's good, because
with a brand episode in 2 weeks' time. So yes, that's good because...
it's Metallica next week.
Oh, well, we can't interrupt Metallica.
Exactly.
Metallica has to happen. Okay, groovy. Well then, I will be handing out adjustments or milestones, probably adjustments, and acclaim or glory as we figure it out, either tonight or tomorrow. So see those. Those will be coming through on Discord more than likely. Until then, our next episode will likely be... oh yes. Our next episode will be called Lurkers and is a Lower Decks episode. I've done my best to find slightly Lower Decksy animated versions of each of the characters. So we will see how that ends up being, but that's going to be in 2 weeks' time. Until then, I thank everybody who has watched us up until this point, and we will see you again in 2 weeks' time. Until then, We ask you to essentially do like the Vulcans do, which is live long and prosper and engage in infinite diversity and infinite combinations. But if you're going to think about influencing another species because it's an opportunistic thing because you owe them their lives, well, that might be not such an easy answer to give. So I'll leave it to your discretion. In the meantime, though, thanks very much for watching those who did. If you want to find out what happens the next episode, which is a Lower Decks episode, tune in 2 weeks' time. Until then, look after yourselves and treat each other with kindness and respect. Hailing frequencies are now closed.